Hey guys, today we talk about the Dreamworld investigation. American politics gets angry, and there's a body in a barrel in Queensland. It's the 30th of June 2018, and this is what's going on. Alright, first we have the Dreamworld investigation. The deaths of 4 people on Dreamworld's Thunder River Rapid Ride on the Gold Coast could have been avoided with a press of an emergency button, a coroner inquest has heard. Cindy Lowe, Kate Goodchild, her brother Luke Dorset, and his partner Ruzi Argy were killed instantly from their crushing injuries when their 6-person raft collided with an empty vessel and flipped backwards in 2016. 2 children were also aboard the same raft but managed to escape. Detective Sergeant Nicola Brown told the court a young female ride operator had access to an emergency button which could have stopped the ride within 2 seconds, but she told the police that she was not aware what the switch actually did. Investigators told the inquest that the ride staff had 57 seconds to identify a raft was trapped on the conveyor belt before a second raft carrying the victims hit it and flipped. Forensic crash investigation team Stephen Cornish told the inquiry that pressing the emergency button would have changed the outcome. Stephen Wybrow, the barrister for Kate Goodchild and Luke Dorset, asked Mr. Cornish how long through that process could that pressing have been delayed but still avoided this tragedy. Mr. Cornish replied, right up to the point of contact. Detective Sergeant Brown said the emergency stop button at the unload area was designed to halt the conveyor within 2 seconds. During a cross-examination, Mr. Wybrow said the emergency button was not clearly labelled. She also was told not to worry about that button, no one uses it. This is disgusting, actually. The court heard a memo was sent to the employees about a week prior to the death telling staff only to use the button if the main control panel cannot be reached. Mr. Wybrow said in an email, Dreamworld was persuading people not to press the button. Detective Sergeant Brown said staff had raised concerns that the button to stop the rides were confusing. It's a confusing control panel and it has to be raised by the auditors. Detective Sergeant Brown also said 2 operators managed the ride from the main control panel at another location which only had a slow stop button. It's not an emergency stop, it's a slow stop which takes approximately 7 seconds. Detective Sergeant Brown said the young ride operator closest to the incident had to signal to the operator at the control room which lost crucial seconds. The inquest also heard that there was no drill training for the staff at Dreamworld to determine how they would react in an emergency situation. The ride also failed twice within hours of the fatal incident. Detective Sergeant Brown told the inquest a large pump on the Thunder River Rapids ride had failed at both 11:50 and 1:09 without any incidents. Engineers attended, reset the pumps, and operation continued as normal. Also, the past incidents and previous breakdowns of the ride would be explored and investigated during the inquest. Mr. Fleming told the inquest that fatalities in 2016 happened on what was one of the most popular rides, built in, suitable and safe for the whole family. The south pump failed, causing a massive drop in water. As the water dropped, one boat became caught on the rails. The ride was modified in 1980 in the 90s as well, and the number of long slats on the conveyor belt was reduced, leaving gaps in which the raft could get caught in and flipped. Now, there was known faults in the ride. The ride should have been completely shut down while maintenance was done on the water pumps. That should have been carried out, and not a quick fix, which that's what caused this tragic incident. The staff not being properly informed about the emergency stop is it's plain neglect for possible injury or death in this case. Alright, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said that she was kicked out of a Virginian restaurant by its owner because she works for President Donald Trump. Quote, last night I was told by the owner of Red Hen in Lexington to leave because I work for the President of the United States, and I politely left. End quote. Sanders posted this on Twitter on Saturday. Also, Tuesday night protesters booed and shouted at a Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen as she dined in a Mexican restaurant in Washington, D.C. Also, Maxine Waters has encouraged supporters to harass Trump administration officials. Maxine Waters called on her supporters to publicly confront and harass members of the Trump administration in response to the zero-tolerance policy that led to the separation of families at the border. The Californian Democrat and critic of Donald Trump made the comments on Saturday, first at the rally in Los Angeles and later in a television interview. The comments, which come after several Trump administration officials have been recently protested at restaurants, has raised fresh questions about the state of American political discourse. We'll check out this video.
We want it done now. We're going to insist on it. If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet. Already, you have members of your cabinet that are being booed out of restaurants, who have protesters taking up at their house, who's saying no peace, no sleep. No peace, no sleep. And guess what? We're going to win this battle, because while you try and quote the Bible, Jeff Sessions and others, you really don't know the Bible. God is on our side. On the side of the children. On the side of what's right. On the side of what's honorable. On the side of understanding that if we can't protect the children, we can't protect anybody. And so, let's stay the course. Let's make sure we show up wherever we have to show up. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Well, it's getting crazy over there, but come on, really? While they're out with their families, it's quite disgusting. It really is. Come on, show what you're worth. Alright, there's been a barrel murder in Queensland. Police hunt Zlato Sikorsky after a woman's decomposed body was found in a ute. Detectives have released the identity of a 34-year-old man. They are hunting over the murder of a woman whose body was found inside a barrel on the back of a ute dumped near Brisbane. Police want to question Zlato Sikorsky, who they believe is travelling in a silver 2014 Holden Commodore with Queensland registration 966 WKB. Detectives yesterday pulled down a missing persons post about a 16-year-old Larissa Belby, who disappeared from a home in Sandgate, Brisbane on June 15. Detective Acting Inspector Scott Furlong from Logan in Brisbane South said Mr. Sikorsky and Larissa were associated. Quote, "We know they're associated, however, we don't know the exact relationship," end quote. They would not confirm Larissa's body has been found and could not say how long the body had been in the barrel. At the moment, we don't know the identity of the deceased, and they state that they won't speculate on the individual person. They are currently undertaking forensic examinations, and they will give us a time frame later on. Larissa was staying in a halfway house for teenage runaways. A woman at the Sandgate home would not confirm if Larissa lived there, but a nearby neighbour said she saw the teenager a few times walking down the street with other young women. The teenager has not contacted her family or friends since June 18, and her family was unable to tell the police which home she was at. A massive manhunt is underway from the man in a getaway car. Police said the man drove off in a black ute when officers arrived at an address in Buchan in Logan, south of Brisbane, on Wednesday, wanting to question him over the missing person. The ute was abandoned in a caravan park 40 kilometres south of Brisbane. When it was searched by officers, the woman's body was discovered in a barrel hidden by a tarp in the back of the tray. Police said the man fled in a silver Commodore. That's the Commodore we were talking about before. Detective Acting Inspector Furlong said the man is believed to be alone in the Gold Coast or Logan areas and has access to guns. We wish that no person approach, but to identify his whereabouts and contact police immediately, Detective Acting Inspector Furlong stated. Police are yet to officially identify the woman, as her body is so badly decomposed and an autopsy will need to be done to identify her. So, this morning there's been some breaking news on this actually. There's a siege going on where the man has barricaded himself while police attend. So if you check on your local news sources for updates. Alright, fast five, let's do this. Number 1, Sydney teenager jailed over 2016 Anzac Day terror plot. A Sydney teenager who said he wanted to attack and terrorise infidels at a memorial service on Anzac Day in 2016 has been sentenced to 12 years jail. The boy, who cannot be identified because he's a child, was sentenced last Friday. The case was suppressed, but the judge's sentencing remarks are now public. The New South Wales Supreme Court Justice Megan Latham ordered the boy to serve a maximum term of 12 years jail with a non-parole period of 9 years. Number 2, German man suspecting of killing 21 co-workers by poisoning their food. German authorities launched a probe into a string of deaths at a metal fittings company after an employee was caught trying to poison a co-worker's lunch. Police found quicksilver and lead in the man's home. The man was arrested for the incident in the town of Stockenbroek, northwest Germany. However, police now suspect he may be responsible for up to 21 deaths of people working at the same company. The police detained the 56-year-old suspect in May this year after one of his co-workers noticed an unknown white powder on his food. The would-be victim alerted his superiors and asked them to review the recordings made by security cameras which showed the suspect adding the substance to the co-worker's lunch. Wow, 21 people. That's crazy. In the one company. Wow. Okay, number 3. Moscow. Signaling a growing approachment between the United States and Russia, the White House and the Kremlin on Thursday will announce the date and location of a summit meeting between President Trump and Vladimir Putin. Both men have pursued a tit-for-tat in hopes for soothing tensions over Russians' interference in the 2016 US presidential election, which they still don't know if they have, and its aggression in the Ukraine and elsewhere, despite retaliatory actions taken by both governments this year. So just a meeting, just to try and cool down. Number 4, new labels to clear up food confusion. Consumers are about to have more power at the checkout by Australian made. Government regulations, which come into effect on July 1, mean food packaging will have to not only specify country of origin for where the food is grown, packed and processed, but also detail the percentage of product in which is Australian. Quote, when you're buying Australian products, you're also investing into the Australian industry. Not just the growers, the jobs, everything that's related to the jobs. You're paying taxes. Those taxes help our road and infrastructure. End quote. Growers cautiously welcome to labelling changes too, hoping it will encourage Australian consumers to support local growers and international suppliers, or over international suppliers, sorry. Number 5, Socceroos drop out. In the end, it was agony written all over their faces as the Socceroos World Cup dreams melted in the Sochi sun. Dreaming of a win and a place in the last 16, Australia lost 2-0 to Peru, even with a 37-minute cameo from the mystic Timmy Cahill. Goals in each half gave Peru a consolidating win, leaving Australia bottom of the group. But the thing is, even if they did win, their fate was already sealed, with Denmark drawing against France just to secure second place in the group. And that's it for the news today, my friends. Alright guys, that's it for the weekly news review. If you've liked this, please leave a like. If you really like it, please subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell. This will also let you know of upcoming videos and specials. If you want to contact me, please contact me on wgoadamelder@gmail.com or Facebook or Twitter or the comments in YouTube. Till next time, enjoy yourself.